Today, you're going to hear the story of Blackberry Pond Farm and how they have grown their farm business from growing just simple butterhead lettuces to now serving a CSA and an online store and a farmer's market. And they're doing really well. And what I loved about this story was that it's such an elegant, simple sales funnel. There are some real marketing gems hiding in this interview. Let's get started.
Hey there, this is Corinna Bench, and welcome to the My Digital Farmer podcast. In today's market, it's not enough to just grow your product. You've got to know how to sell it too. Welcome to the My Digital Farmer podcast, where we reveal online marketing strategies and tips to help farmers like you get better and more confident at marketing. Learn how to find more customers, increase your sales, and build a strong brand for your farm. Let's start the show.
Well, welcome to episode 277 of the My Digital Farmer podcast. I am your host, Corinna Bench, one of the farmers at Shared Legacy Farms out in Elmore, Ohio. I'm also the founder of MyDigitalFarmer.com, which is all about trying to help other farmers like you get more confident in your marketing and sales strategies so that you can grow a profitable farm business. How's everyone doing today? Welcome back to the show. Big shout out to all of my regular listeners. Welcome back. And if you're new to the show, thanks for checking me out. Make sure that you subscribe to the podcast, especially if you need some help learning the marketing fundamentals, and go check out my first 10 episodes. I designed those for newbies in this space who are trying to learn the ropes. I also encourage you to get onto my email list if you want some marketing coaching that's free, because when you do, you're going to get an email from me at least once a week that is going to basically walk you through the marketing jungle. It's so good. I think it lasts for like 3 months. And by the end, you're going to have a lot of knowledge to kind of move you forward. And if you decide that it's not helpful, you can just unsub. So you can go get on that list by subscribing at mydigitalfarmer.com/subscribe. Today's episode is sponsored by my friends at Local Line. Switch to Local Line and grow your farm to new heights this season. Local Line is the most comprehensive sales software built for farmers and food hubs. Its features include e-commerce, automated inventory management, subscriptions, a website builder, point of sale, and more, helping you increase your sales and streamline your processes. So whether you're a CSA farmer or you sell meat, you run a food hub, or maybe you sell wholesale or offer a herd share, Local Line has the tools and features that you need to succeed. We're a big fan. Are you looking to switch to a sales software that does it all? Subscriptions start as low as $49 a month with no setup fees or sales percentages. That's huge for me. Plus, if you join Local Line today, your onboarding manager will migrate your storefront at no cost, so you can be up and running in no time, even in the middle of the season. As a bonus, if you are a podcast listener, Local Line is also offering a free premium feature for 1 year with your subscription when you use my coupon code MDF2024. So go to mydigitalfarmer.com/local line and then enter the coupon code MDF2024. Make the switch today. And now back to the show. I'm going to jump right into reading my interview guest's bio today. I'm really excited to share this with you. I literally just finished recording the session with her, and now I'm kind of hopping into my podcast editor and I'm reading the bio and I'm doing my little intro blurb. And I just feel like this was so good. I never really know what's going to come out of the conversations that I have with my guests. I sort of know their backstory. I do some research on them. Sometimes I'm actually like handed this guest as someone that I should look into because I'm told by people they're a really good farm. And every time I do a conversation with a farmer, I end up learning something, and I feel like that's my job as the host, is to pull out the gem or the story, the hidden nugget that's in that farmer's backstory. And you're definitely going to hear some really great ideas from today's episode. I hope that you listen to her story and you can kind of look at it through the lens of your own business. You're going to find some common moments that you've probably had within your own farm business. And there might be some things that are still to come for you that you can kind of use to help navigate your way. So I hope you enjoy these interviews with guests. If you know of a farmer, by the way, that would be great for the show, or you are that farmer, would you please reach out to me? These are some of my favorite episodes for my listeners. And so I'd love to kind of have a collection of farmers waiting in the wings that I can interview for future podcasts. So let's get right to it. Today's guest is Sue Miller, and Sue Miller is from Blackberry Pond Farm, which is a family farm located in West Tennessee. It specializes in growing fresh and delicious vegetables hydroponically. They are on production year-round. They offer a CSA box quarterly, and they are certified organic by On-Mark Organic certification with the USDA. Now, this farm started in 2015 in Sue Miller's kitchen windowsill, and she's going to share that story. It was a small hydroponic system to grow herbs and salad greens for her use in the kitchen. And she eventually expanded to the porch with 3-gallon buckets to grow cucumbers, lettuce, and eventually they built a greenhouse, followed by more greenhouses, and the rest is history. Currently, they run a quarterly 100-member CSA from January through November, so they do take a month off. And they sell at the Martin Farmers Market. They also do some wholesale to chefs. They run a roadside stand from their 7 greenhouses and 2 fields of crops on 36 acres in Martin, Tennessee. They're also really involved in community education about the impact of food on health. Now, the farm is truly a family affair. Doctors James and Sue Miller, who own and started the farm, are physicians. James is a full-time hospitalist at the local hospital. He designs and troubleshoots the hydroponic designs on the farm. But Sue is a full-time traveling ER physician, and she also does the marketing and social media and customer service for the farm. Much of the planting, transplanting, daily care, harvesting, and delivery is done by their son, Chris, and Junior, and daughter-in-law, Chelsea. So please join me as we welcome Sue Miller to the show. Well, Sue, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks. This is such an honor. I've watched all your podcasts, and I'm really excited to be here.
Well, I'm excited for you to share your story because I believe that every farm has some nugget that they can share within their story. So I'm going to help you uncover it today. Why don't you just start out first by giving us the context of your business? Tell us a little bit about your farm, how you got started, who you are in the business.
So our farm is Blackberry Pond Farm, and we are in West Tennessee in Martin, Tennessee. We've been there 10 years, but we've actually only been a CSA maybe like 5 years of that. So we are USDA certified organic and USDA certified GAP. We really got our start. I'm an emergency room doctor.
Mm-hmm.
My husband is a hospitalist. We moved to rural West Tennessee from a bigger city, where we were always gardeners. But I was used to shopping at Whole Foods or Sprouts or Fresh Market, as well as gardening. And I love salad. And when we moved to rural West Tennessee, I could not find lettuce that made me happy. So I said, well, I'm going to grow my own. And we started in arrow gardens in the kitchen windowsill. And that grew into a small tabletop greenhouse out on our deck out back. And then I asked my husband to build me a greenhouse. So he built me a greenhouse. So we started growing hydroponic lettuce out there. And before we knew it, it was more than our family could eat. And so my daughter started selling it in the farmer's market. And one thing led to another. And now we are like the go-to people for salad greens and lettuce in our area. And it grew into a CSA, and it's its own business now, and employs both my sons. My adult sons work there full time on the farm, and my daughter-in-law. And then my husband and I still kind of run the money and marketing side of things.
Okay, so you really filled a niche. It sounds like that's kind of how you fell into this, you saw a specific product that was really lacking in your area. And so you tried to solve that problem. And then it kind of ended up, it gave you um, like a name. You were known for your lettuce, and then it sounds like you expanded from there. Is that right? Like, what are the
Right.
things you grow right now?
Right, right. So yeah, so we grow in the field and we just planted beans and peas out there this week. Last week we planted butternut squash and some more pumpkins. So we grow other things too. But and then after we formed the CSA, we ended up getting all these cooperative agreements with these other farmers in the area that we were meeting, which kind of expanded our offerings in our CSA. So I think you asked me when you emailed me if we were like a local food hub, and
Mhm.
I really didn't know what that was, so I Googled it. And I guess in a way we kind of are, but I didn't set out to become that.
Mm.
So, when the CSA started, it was like, here's a box of lettuce and radishes, tomatoes, cucumbers, things that you can cut up and make a salad for your family every week. And then people were like, well, we want other things too. So then we added other vegetables, and then they were like, well, no, I want you to replace my weekly Walmart orders. So can we have meat and bread
Mm.
and dairy, and so we started adding things slowly, and now we have grass-fed, grass-finished beef, we have lamb, we have pork, we have chicken, we have eggs, we have sourdough bread, we have
Mm.
dairy. So besides all the vegetables, and then when it's in season, like now in the summertime, we have other farmers who like call us and say, "Hey, like yesterday, I got a call from a farmer. We just picked new potatoes today. Y'all want some of those?" So I'm like, yeah, we'll take those.
And this
That's
all happened over the course of 5 years?
yes, yes,
Wow.
yeah.
So you started out, did you always send your daughter to the farmer's market, or were you there at first being the face of the business?
She went there at first.
Okay.
Yeah, all by
Okay.
herself. Yeah,
Okay. And
with
so like help my audience understand like the growth phases maybe that you feel like you kind of went through. I know this wasn't a question I sent you, but I'm kind of intrigued at how when farm businesses first start, I think they aren't always sure like, well, what's the next step going to look like? And then what is the next phase of business going to look like? Because it happens in stages, right? Your growth happens in stages. And
right.
if a farmer in stage one kind of knows what stage two is going to look like, it helps them know what they should maybe start working towards. So if you look back now, what are kind of some of those milestone moments that you saw where you could be like, oh, we made the leap, then we're able to do this because we hit this milestone?
Yeah, well, we were growing extras, so we were taking it to work and giving it away, and people were paying us for it. And that's when I decided I was going to send her to the farmer's market with the extra on
Hmm.
Saturday.
Hmm.
And Butter Crunch is our flagship product. It's our most popular product. It's our gateway product.
Hmm.
So the Butter Crunch head was the thing she was selling the most, and people there were a couple of people there that were involved in the CSA locally, and so they were telling her and telling us, well, you guys need to start a CSA, and I didn't even know what a CSA was, so.
Hmm.
Uh, so I had to try to figure that out. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do that because that's like committing to
Commitment.
have a set quantity. And I don't know if I can do that. So,
Mhm.
um,
What
so
year was that you started the CSA? Was that like year three or two?
we started in 2019. Yeah.
Okay. Mm.
So I created what I called a salad box, and it was a box of a couple of heads of lettuce and other ingredients that could be chopped up and made into a salad that would feed side salads to a family of four. And we sold that for $10. And initially we offered free delivery when COVID came out. So see, we kind of started doing that, the salad blocks in 2019, and then all of a sudden COVID came. That was like the start of 2020, COVID came. And I was like, the farmers market's probably not going to be open this year.
Mm-hmm.
And so why don't we expand this salad box thing and really push it on social media, as like we'll do contactless delivery, you can pay online, it's fresh, it's local, it's certified organic, as like an alternative. And COVID really helped the business take off because people were like, oh, yeah, I want that. And so that kind of evolved into the CSA. And then we started the CSA with just 10 people because we wanted to start small and build slowly. And so we do it in quarters. So we have a winter session that goes January to March, and then a spring that goes April through the beginning of June. And then summer we're in now starts the beginning of June and goes to Labor Day. And then we have a fall that goes from Labor Day to Thanksgiving. And then we take off between Thanksgiving and New Year's every year. That's what we've done since we started the CSA. So we have 85 members in our CSA now. We're on track to go up to 100. But then once the CSA started and I started sending out my end of the CSA surveys and asking people what did they like, what did they want to see more of, then they were like, well, we want you to replace our grocery store is what we want you to do. We want more than just salad greens. We want all the vegetables. We want all the fruits. Whatever you can bring us. We want meat. We want bread. So obviously we couldn't add all that all at once. So we added eggs. I think eggs is a natural gateway. I think you've mentioned before you started with adding on an egg share. So we added eggs and then we added on an egg share. And then the person who was providing our eggs also does lamb. So that was kind of like a natural next addition was to add on the lamb because we were just dealing with this one vendor. And then we just kind of grew from there. We just added on one product after another. It seemed like every session when we would go from winter to spring, we would add on another product. And then when we go from spring to summer, we'd add on another product. And
what are your most popular products? And then what are the ones that have the greatest profit margin?
Well, so the vendors up until now, you're going to say this is not a good business sense, but initially when I brought in my vendors, I wanted that because my customers were asking me for that. And they were like, well, what am I going to get out of this? And I'm like, well, you're going to get access to my customers and I'm not going to take any money from you. And I didn't. I get, whatever they create a vendor account in our local line and whatever was collected, then we paid them 100% of the money. But now I'm actually collecting 10% because of the whole logistics of the whole thing, because we're having to make sure we're doing the delivery, we're dividing it up, we're making sure everything stays frozen that needs to stay frozen. And it's just, we should have done that all along. But anyway, vegetable wise, the lettuce is still our number one seller, and I think it always will be. And then as far as my vendors go, eggs is probably number one. And the grass-fed, grass-finished beef, which is a relatively new product. We just started offering that this past spring. Is probably number two.
Okay. I want to just pause and make a distinction for my audience too. There's a difference between what is the most popular product for your customers and what is the highest profit margin. Sometimes they are the same, but as a business owner, we need to know both. They both have their place in our product line because often the popular product can serve as a gateway to get them in, but we're always trying to lead people to the products that have really high margins for us, right? So it sounds like you have a really good sense of the numbers as well. Today's podcast is sponsored by Farm Marketing School. This is my monthly membership where farmers can come in and build marketing assets one at a time in special 30-day build projects that I've created for you. There are currently over 14 different projects inside of Farm Marketing School, including your website homepage, building a promo calendar, building a promotional email challenge, testimonial and reviews, how to build a better offer, your email nurture sequence, your lead magnet. There's a sales funnel audit. There's a ton of good stuff in there. And I'm adding new material every couple of months. Plus, you get a monthly Zoom meetup with the whole group in the middle of the month. And we'll be doing some book studies off in the fall. I'm really there just to try and empower you and help you get your marketing assets built. So the way this works is you subscribe from month to month. You can cancel whenever you want. You go in, you take the assessment. There's also a crash course in marketing that you can watch to just learn the lingo and the vocabulary and the framework. And then you get started building your first marketing asset. Every project includes a hour-long tutorial, a resource folder that gives you lots of templates and examples to help make the process of actually building your own version really fast, and also a project planner to help you time it out and make sure you get everything done. If you want to learn more about how to join Farm Marketing School and try it out, you can go to mydigitalfarmer.com/FMS. This is my new kind of flagship offer, my community that I'm going to really be pouring myself into over the next 6 to 12 months. Really excited about it. So I'd love to interact with you. Join at mydigitalfarmer.com/FMS. And now back to the show. Do you think the fact that you're doctors helps you at all? I know you mentioned that, you're an ER doctor, and then you talked about how you were, you must have been in the thick of COVID, like trying to be a doctor. And here you are coming with like a solution to help people stay healthy or live healthy in the midst of all that. But do you feel like you bring some authority and credentials to the space because of that?
I think it does. I think it does. Yeah, and so we're actually working on a grant about food as medicine, and we have a couple of pharmacies who serve as pickup sites for our CSA and our online orders. And so we're going to try to work with them. And we recently got approved to accept SNAPs payments. So we're going to work with people who are on food stamps, who are on Medicaid, and seeing if they can buy into the CSA or work more fruits and vegetables into their diet and see if that doesn't make an impact in their health, particularly diabetes and hypertension. And we know statistically that it does, but I'm excited to see what that's going to do on a local level and what we can do to impact that.
Yeah, but even just the passion, that's coming from you, like this isn't just, oh, I like to be outside and work in the soil. This is, I'm a doctor, so I believe in health and promoting health, and I believe that food is medicine, and that energy has to be coming out in your messaging in some kind of way, I would imagine. Even if it's not super intentionally, I'm sure it's just the fact that you're a doctor, like it's just naturally going to be coming out of some of the ways
I
you
think it's
talk.
probably just natural. I don't think I did
Yeah.
that intentionally, like you're
Yeah.
saying. Yeah.
And people are gonna maybe even be looking for that and read into that. Can you give me a little bit? So I want to just clarify for my audience. You talked about how you started out just going to the market. You then started a CSA, and now you have people saying, we want to be like, we want you to basically be our grocery store. We want you to replace our grocery store, our Walmart experience. Are you now offering like in just the online store for anyone to just buy from the store too? Or is it only you have to join our CSA, our choice CSA model, or what? Explain that to me.
So some products we offer on both. We have two stores. We have the CSA store, which you have to log into, and the public store. So
Okay.
some products are offered in both stores, and some products are only offered at the CSA store.
Okay. And a CSA member, it's a choice CSA. So people are building their own box each week.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
It's not a
What's
traditional one where it's like I'm packing the box and then
well,
you.
well, I think we're a hybrid because the way we started is we told everybody every week, well, here's what's in the box, and they weren't allowed to swap out things. And then I had people messaging me and saying, well, can I swap out that because I don't like bok choy and I get this instead.
Mhm.
um, and so then we started swapping things out, and I'm like, this is getting too complicated. Why don't we just make them whatever amount they pay is a credit in the
Mm.
online store, and they can buy whatever they want to with it. And then Local Line gives us the pick sheet and the invoices, and then we just bill the blocks from that. So I mean, it's a little bit more work on the tail end and packing the
Mhm.
box because not everything's the same. But that's what we decided to do. But we still offer the standard box. So, so when I send out an email to the CSA members every Monday morning at 9 o'clock, it goes out like clockwork, and it has, pictures and tells what's been going on at the farm that week. And it has a big long list of what's available that week and what vendors different products are coming from and what came from us. And there's a recipe of the week. Anyway, in that, I put what's in the proposed half share box and the proposed full share box. And so if they choose to get the half share box, then $10 is deducted from their balance, but it's usually a minimum of $12 worth of product. And the full share box, the same thing, $20 is deducted from their account, but it's usually about $24 worth of product. Um,
And if
and
they
then,
want to buy more things, can they do that? Can they,
and
and then
then
it
if they
just
want to
gets
buy more things, they do that. And we have
just gets
people,
taken off their store credit?
it just gets taken off their store credit.
Mhm.
Yeah. And we have a wide range. I mean, some people
Yeah.
will spend their entire CSA prepaid amount in the first couple of weeks, and then they'll just pay as they go the rest of the season.
Mhm. What would you
And then we
say
have
is
other
your
people who
average?
like get the standard box every week and they
Yeah,
like have it all divvied out. And they can skip weeks. They can skip as many weeks as they want.
right. So, Sue, I don't know if you know this off the top of your head, but what would you say is the average amount of money people are spending on a box every week?
Um, Probably $30 to $40.
Okay, that's helpful for some of my listeners to hear if they're just even wondering where are we, what table are we even playing at here, right? Like when it comes to vegetables, but that also would include some of these other vendor items, right? It's not just
Right. It would
vegetables. Yeah, yeah,
include some of the other vendor
yeah.
items.
Okay. Um, I would like to just briefly talk about a little bit more about who your customer is, because you've referenced several times in this interview how you've seemed to guide your business based on the feedback you're getting from your customers, right? Like you started out with
Right.
what you thought they wanted. You were trying to solve a problem for yourself, actually, and then started sharing it at work. And then you started hearing feedback, right? You were getting the people were closing the loop and saying, we like this, so, grow more lettuce. And so then you did, and you expanded your operation to meet that need. And then you began to hear rumblings from the crowd. We'd like this. And so you said, okay. And you responded. So just in general, like after these 5 years, like what are some of the things you've noticed about the kinds of clients that you are attracting to your farm business in general?
Um, I would say most of them are in their 30s or their 40s. They're college educated, and they are health conscious.
Hmm.
Uh, Not all of them start out that way, but then they end up becoming that way, health conscious, that is.
Hmm.
I've had members who came who didn't even know how to cook, and now they're ordering, fresh meat and fresh vegetables, and they're actually cooking them. So,
Interesting. Why do you think that happens? Like how does that transformation happen? Are there other things happening along the way? Like, are you coaching them or
well,
is it just,
I give them a recipe every week, and we have our own, just like you do for your farm. We have a private CSA.
okay, so you have a community where they can come together.
Right. And so a lot of them will share pictures on there. Hey, look, this is what I made this week. Like someone just last week said, hey, look, I took my okra and I put some spices on it and I baked it in the oven and it tastes just like fried, but it's healthier, simple things like that. And that they share them with each other on the Facebook page. And then I do think that creates a sense of community.
Yeah.
And then they meet each other at the farmers market or at the pickup sites, and they talk to each other.
Mhm.
So I think that impacts their behavior.
Yeah. Now, over time, do you see customers graduating? Um, how are they graduating? I don't want this to be a leading question. Like, they first begin with you and they're a certain way, they buy a certain thing. Like what is that? What do those different growth markers, milestones look like? How are they graduating along over
Um,
time?
so most people come in through either our roadside stand or through the farmers market, and then they join the CSA. And a lot of people, when they join the CSA, only want vegetables and fruit. And so, or they'll start with the basic proposed blocks, and then they'll add more and more things, and then they usually add on eggs or bread, and and then as they reach the higher tiers, then they're getting meat and bread and eggs and fruit and veggies,
Mhm.
basically your whole grocery cart every week.
Yeah.
Um,
How long of a process do you think that takes?
Probably a year is what I've
Yeah.
been observing, about a
Okay.
year.
Now, this is all anecdotal, I know, but I just want to point this out again to our listeners. Like, as you're growing your business like this is just a great example of how you're following the cues of your audience. You're giving them what they want. But the goal is over time to coach them along and turn them into a super buyer. Not all of them will turn into that, but in order to be able to do that, you have to create more products in your ascension ladder, which is what you have essentially done over time. You now have a product suite that doesn't just have one item, CSA share, or
Right,
a few vegetables, which don't have a high profit margin. You have other things in there so that it causes this person over time and to expect your customer to require time to become a super buyer, right? And you have to build these habits into them and they inch their way forward. Like, well, now I'm going to start adding eggs. And then a few months later, I'm a little more comfortable taking the next step. And now I'm going to do bread. And now I'm also I tried the lamb and I really like it, right? And now all of a sudden they're spending $50, $50 a week with you, whereas before it was
right,
10, right? But that doesn't happen overnight. And so it's just this slow coaching of the conversion, right? Like just moving them along and continuing to make offers, put new things in the
right,
store.
right. And
Yeah.
once they get to that, we have an annual CSA subscription too. So which is my largest product.
Hmm.
It's
That's the ultimate, like become a,
that's the ultimate. Yeah.
Mhm. Which is great. Every ascension ladder, every product suite should have a product like that. Yeah. Something that's your
Yeah.
ultimate, where are you taking people?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I have an annual, and to be an annual full share subscriber with delivery is like $1,100 for the year.
Mhm.
So that's not a cheap
No,
product.
it's not. Yeah.
That's
Does that come with perks at all, or is it just the, something that's
I
something special?
well, I like to tell them they have VIP treatment.
Mhm.
So
I love it.
for example, I'll give you an example from yesterday. So I have an annual subscriber. She's been an annual subscriber for a couple of years. And she actually reached out to us last week and said, "Hey, I'm running out of money in the fall CSA is getting ready to start. So I just want to go ahead and prepay for my 2025 annual now. So I'll have more money in my pot." And I'm like, okay. So she went ahead and prepaid. And then she texted me yesterday and she said, "I really want some filet mignon this week, but there's not any in the online store. Can you do something?" And I said, "Well, let me see what I can do." So I texted the beef vendor and I said, "Hey, I have this annual subscriber and she really wants filet mignon this week, but we don't have any in the online store, which means your inventory's out. Do you happen to have any of your, because they have their own inventory at their farm. So do you happen to have any, in your inventory there?" And so they text me back and they're like, "Yeah, we do." And I said, "Great. You think you can add that to local line and I'll put that in her box this week." So then I texted her and I said, "Hey, I got the filet mignon. No problem. It'll be in your box on Wednesday when it's delivered." So that kind of thing happened behind the scenes, and the
Yeah.
other CSA members don't even know that that even
Yeah.
happened, you know.
Yeah. Something that this is just making me think of an idea here off the cuff. Maybe I'll do an episode on this, but something to for you to really like brainstorm here, because that's a great that I feel like that happened to you, or maybe I should say, I feel like that experience happened for you so that you could learn something from it. There is a lot of power in the status marker of being VIP. And I wonder what it would look like for you to start to make people aware that there even is such a thing as VIP status. And would that cause more people to rise to that level and want to be so that they can claim it? And it doesn't even
Right.
have to be something that costs you money. Although I feel like one example of if you even just tell people there's a VIP level, if you join the annual, you become VIP level. And maybe like twice a year, they get like a jam in their box that's for free, or like little small perks that don't cost you money, or first dibs on something that runs out, right?
They
Um,
do get free things. So the annual
yeah,
subscribers, like when something comes out the first time it comes out, like cherry tomatoes are really popular. Everybody loves our cherry tomatoes. But the first time we pick them, there's not enough for everybody.
yeah,
But there's usually
exactly.
there's usually enough for the annuals.
Mhm.
So we'll pick them and we'll put them in the annuals box and we won't even talk about it in the newsletter. We won't even put them in the online store, and we'll just put a little handwritten note in the annuals box that says,
Mhm.
"Enjoy the cherry tomatoes the first of the season and thank you for being an annual subscriber." Just
Yeah.
something simple.
Yeah.
Um,
Or even just to add the word, thanks for being a VIP annual subscriber. Just stick that word VIP because I think that that helps them like label themselves a certain way. And what I think
yeah,
is
that's a good
probably
idea.
I think what may happen is that when somebody suddenly realizes that they have the label of VIP, they don't want to lose it. And especially when they get these occasional reminders of perks because you are a VIP, you're getting this. Then when it's time to renew, there's going to be like this, well, I really like that. I don't want to lose that status. And it makes it easier for them to say yes again and again. It's just something to think about. And I also think it might not be a bad idea to occasionally snap a picture of the thing you gave your VIPs. I don't know, something to play with and just post it in the group. Like for some of our VIP annual subscribers, we dropped this in their box as a bonus. Just so that like the other people now know, wait, there's something that I'm missing out on because I'm not at that level. Like there's a VIP level. What does that mean? Right. It just suddenly makes people want to rise to the next level. It's just something to play with. I've been doing that a lot this year. I started using that and um, I've noticed that people are asking like, how do you become a VIP customer? I've been getting that question from people. So it's just interesting. Anyway, that's my
I
little
like that. Thank you. That's a great
yeah,
suggestion. Thank
little
you.
side thing there. I want to talk a little bit about the top of the funnel strategies. We've been talking a lot about like what happens once they buy your gateway product, and then you kind of know how to coach them along once they're in the funnel and they're buying, how to get them to become a super buyer. But like, what are the things you do in marketing to make people aware that you even exist? to get them onto your email list? Like, what are some of those marketing strategies you're using?
So we get email addresses at the farmers market, and then we use our growing calendar as a lead magnet.
Awesome.
So we have it divided up by the seasons and all the products that we grow in, us personally, and what season we're growing in, and we offer that as a PDF lead magnet if they give us their email address. And so we usually do that once a quarter on Facebook and Instagram and collect email addresses that way. But it's I've noticed, and probably in the last 6 months, it's just kind of naturally it people just sign up on local line and give us their email address anyway.
Hmm.
And it's because they're hearing about it from other customers, brand ambassadors, if you will. And
Hmm.
then our pickup sites. So we have multiple pickup sites. We have two pharmacies, we have two meat markets, a luggage store, which is kind of crazy, but anyway, a bakery, um,
Oh,
and then pick up at the farm and pick up at the farmer's market. And so all those pickup sites have a sign in the window that says they're a pickup site for our CSA. So people come in and ask about it. They have our business cards, they have flyers for our CSA. And
mm.
those pickup site people get a free box every week. And
Oh,
so they'll, for being a pickup site. And
yeah.
so they'll text me and they'll say, hey, so and so came in the store today, and I think they're going to sign up for the CSA. And I gave them a flyer, and here's their name, and be looking out for them. So then we
Mm.
kind of know when they sign up to
Yeah.
for them.
Well,
So,
and then those people are much more bought in because they're actually getting the product too, so they can be
right,
a testimonial even and say, "Oh, I love it." And now
right,
as the owner of the business, they're, the customer is hearing the owner of the business say, "I love it," and that's credibility. So
right,
I also think it's brilliant with maybe the exception of the luggage store, but like all of those other sites are businesses where your ideal client would go. Like it's
right,
a bakery, like that's where a food person would go. A pharmacy, that's where someone who's health conscious or dealing with health issues would frequent,
right,
right? So it would make sense that um, you would find more of your customers hanging out there. So that's where your traffic lives. It's really smart.
right.
Awesome. Okay, so that was your top of funnel strategy. I want to talk a little bit here about the vendors that have slowly become a part of your product offerings and your team. Um, how did you find these vendors? Did you actively go and look for them, or did some of them come to you because they had a product and they kind of knew you were this sort of like a hub and they wanted to just pitch this to you? How did that work?
I personally invited all of them.
Hmm.
Uh,
Really? That's great. That's the best
I,
position. But tell me
well,
why you did that.
because I know my customer and I know what my customer expects. I know the quality of product that they want. Um, so, so I looked for vendors that had that like-mindedness,
Mm,
um, to us and to my customer. And that's what I went for. So,
mm.
um,
What does a conversation look like? They like are these people you already had a relationship with because you saw them at the markets, or
some
did
of
you warm them
some
up? Like, yeah.
some of them were. Our first vendor was actually one of my customers.
Oh.
So they provide us with eggs and lamb, and they were subscribers to the CSA, and we were also buying lamb from them.
Hmm.
We would buy a whole lamb and put it in the freezer. So we would have lamb all year. And when the customers started asking for more products, I knew that they also did pasture raised eggs, and they had a chicken tractor they moved around in their fields with their lambs. And so I said, well, why don't we get eggs from them? Because I know it's going to be quality eggs. We were getting eggs from them too. And why don't we just get eggs from them and offer that to our customers? And then if it goes okay, then maybe we'll offer lamb next. So yeah, so I invited her over to the house, and I said, you've been buying our vegetables, we've been buying your lamb and eggs. I really think this, offering your eggs and maybe eventually your lamb would be beneficial to my customers. I think my
Hmm.
customers would like that, because they're asking for more products. Can we see what we can do? And so, yeah, she talked to her husband and said, sure, why not? And so they've been our vendor for the longest period of time. But
I
and that,
asked this question a little bit logistically because I teach a course called CSA Quick Start, to help people learn how to start CSAs from scratch. And one of the follow-up questions that usually comes out of this is, well, talk to me about these add-on shares, right? Or these additional vendors, and how there's a lot of confusion about how do you set up that? Is it a contract? Do you, so I'm just kind of curious, did you do like a pilot project where it was like, well, we're only going to do it on a smaller scale to kind of like ease our way into it? Or do you just say, whatever we can sell, you guys have to figure out how to produce that much?
yeah,
Did you write it all down?
she told me what the minimum number of dozens of eggs she could provide every week, and we just
Hmm.
basically put those in the online store
Hmm.
and just sold eggs by the dozen to start.
Hmm.
And then after a season or two, she said, "Well, I think I can provide this minimum, allowing for changes in the weather, heat,
Yeah.
cold, light, all that
Yeah.
affects egg laying." And she said, "I think I can provide this minimum." And so then I said, "Well, why don't we do that as an egg share, and we'll offer it as a discount over buying the eggs every week."
Hmm.
And so that's what we did, and that's how the egg share came to
Was
be.
born. So you kind of wiggled your way in. Was Yeah.
Yeah,
Which
but
I think is instructional, like I'm just trying to coach people listening. Like you don't always have to go like all in. You can kind of feel your way in to a commitment
right.
until you're confident, yes, I can produce this. We scale to the level that we can confidently do this from season to season. You don't always know that when you first get started. And so it's very common to just sort of ease your way or wiggle your way into these
Yeah.
arrangements.
And
You
then
test them.
the sourdough baker, she is at the farmers market with us. So her booth is set up next to us at the farmers market. And Um, she contacted me one day and wanted to know if I had a Vitamix, because she wanted to mix up some vanilla bean paste. And I do have a Vitamix. So she came over to the house to use my Vitamix and make vanilla bean paste. And we got to talking, and I was like, how would you like to sell your bread in the CSA? And she said, I would love that. So she started selling her bread in the CSA, and again, it was probably after only one season. She said, I think I could probably do a sourdough share and a sweetbread share, which kind of alternates between
Mhm.
like a blueberry crumb, a zucchini bread, and a banana bread. And so then we offered those shares, and now we have those shares. So the meat we're still selling piece by piece. I haven't quite figured
Mhm.
out how to do a meat share, but
Mhm.
I think that's coming.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think
You
that's
don't have to know how to do it all exactly when you first start, right? You kind of just dive in and you figure it out. You
right.
listen to the market. Yeah. Yeah. So you are using, I don't think I actually knew this. You're using local line.
Right.
Um, And so it sounded like you said you have two stores. So that means you have two price lists that you pay for?
Right. We have two price lists. Yeah. The
Okay.
public list and the CSA list.
Okay. And is one of them, so you're not using a subscriptions element in local line. If this,
We are.
okay. That's
So
so you have subscriptions
local line,
in one of the price lists, you're using
local lines
subscriptions.
kind of made this whole complicated because yeah, they put in the subscriptions thing, and we had a meeting with them because at first we thought, well, maybe we could use that as the CSA, but it really doesn't fit the
Mhm.
way we're doing our CSA, where they actually have
Store
money
credit. Hmm.
and store credit. So, um, but we have customers who actually buy from us at the farmers market and from our roadside stand who actually wanted to subscribe to eggs. That's what they wanted to subscribe to, but they aren't CSA members yet. I'm still
Mm,
working on developing that relationship,
got
and
it. Yeah.
following them in. So we said, well, we have, if you sign up for our online store, what we can do is we can subscribe to those eggs, and then you'll get the eggs added to your cart every week. And unless you don't want to, that's the way the subscription service works on local line. So that
Hmm.
they can like skip it and then they pay for it every week as they go.
Hmm.
So we have a few people have done that specifically for eggs. Um, so which
Got it.
we're a lettuce farmer, so but
Yeah.
it's so
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a gateway to get into the
Yeah.
now
Exactly.
this is someone who is buying from my roadside stand, and this is unmanned, and now I have his email address, I have his phone number, and he's getting eggs from me every week, and
Hmm.
and so he's like, well, can I add some peaches onto that? Can I add a watermelon?
Yeah. And
Uh,
so it begins. Yes. Yeah, I mean, that's the funnel right there. He's falling into the funnel. And it takes some customers time, right? And not everybody does, but you have the system built so that it's easy, far easier to happen to someone.
right.
Yeah. Have you always been using e-commerce or were you doing things differently before?
So before Local Line, we had a WooCommerce site, and it was a lot of admin on our side because we were,
Yeah,
um, if you're familiar with that. So we
I
were
did.
having,
That's what I had. Hmm.
so we were doing all that on the WooCommerce site. Um, it was a lot of
Yeah.
work.
What is it about the new system that you appreciate? Is there something that has become easier in general? Does the subscription pay for itself to local line? So I get that question a lot and I'm not trying to necessarily pitch local line here. I feel like there's resistance from farmers who follow me where they're like, I don't want to spend money on any e-commerce platform. Um, and I just kind of wonder what your experience has been. Does it
What
actually make things better and easier? Do you find that you make more revenue because you make that investment?
It took a lot of hours away from doing the admin side of operating the store. Then we were free to do other things, whether it be on the farm or just be with our family or just be free.
Hmm.
So, I mean, time is money. So, it's really freed up a lot of time. So, and they're constantly like the subscription feature. That's brand new. They're constantly adding things on,
Hmm.
which are making it better. Um, you know, and even the amount of vendors. I think when we first started, we can only add on one vendor, and we had a meeting with them and said, hey, we want to add more than one vendor, and so they created this whole division where I think we
Yeah.
can add on up to seven vendors, and eventually I think we're going to get more than seven vendors, and I'm hopeful that they will let me add more than seven vendors. They'll
Yeah.
charge me more money for it, but it'll be all right. because it
Right.
simplifies life.
Yeah, exactly. Um, what would you say have been some of the big marketing lessons that you've learned over the last 5 years? You said that you've listened to the podcast, but it sounds like you've practiced a lot of these principles in your business. You've seen some of them work. And I know that if you're like me, as you try things out, some of them work, some of them don't. But along the way, there are these breakthrough moments where you're like, oh, this was huge. Like, why didn't I trust this earlier? Why didn't I know this earlier? What are some of those moments that come to mind? Again, taking on the role here of like the wise woman, like you've learned a few things along this journey. And what would be some of those things that you would share with someone who's still kind of near the beginning?
Well, it's been said over and over and over, but I cannot emphasize enough collecting email addresses from the very start. So we didn't collect email addresses from the very start. We did not start emailing our customers from the very start. We leaned more on social media and Facebook and word of mouth and being in the farmers market. And I think if we had collected more email addresses earlier on, our growth would have been faster
Mm,
um, early on. So now we're putting more emphasis on that. I really see a lot of return from emailing. I think we have 700 people on our email list. I mean, it
mm,
doesn't sound crazy
that's
huge,
good. No, that's great.
but when I email them, hey, we got a new product, or we're gonna be at the farmers market and have this, then we see people buy from that.
Yeah.
So uh,
And is
and
that all you're doing is sending one email a week? I mean, just to help farmers take the load off? Like it's not a ton of,
I send one a week in the CSA, and then during the peak season, I may send one a week to like the local everyone else on the email
yeah.
list,
Yeah.
what we're going to have at the farmers market or whatever. And
Hmm.
then in the off seasons, like fall and winter, I may send like one a month.
Right.
And a lot of times, if we'll do like a special promotion, like we did a Mother's Day box where we went together with some of our vendors, and we had a meat, a bread, and veggies all in one package for a discount. Then I sent an email about special promotions like that.
Hmm.
And then, of course, we sign up for the CSA every quarter. So as we sign up for the CSA, I'll be like, hey, signups are going on for the CSA right now. If you've always wanted to get in or wondered what it was all about, now's the time.
Yeah.
Here's the link to sign up,
Yeah.
and email me with your questions. So I hear it said over and over on your podcast, but I can't emphasize it enough. Collecting emails, collecting emails, collecting emails. There's really nothing more important than that.
Yeah.
So, and then, after that, just this past year, I had an aha moment. I went to a conference here in Tennessee, the Pick Tennessee conference, and I emphasized going to the marketing talks in that conference. And one of the speakers there was talking about social media, Facebook and Instagram. And he's like, you have to get into a pattern of posting. And I really hadn't gotten to a pattern of posting. So I've tried to be more habitual about that this year, and I really think it's made a difference. And he even suggested, like, having special days of the week. So our special day that I've been consistent with, the most consistent with, is Monday, Meet Your Farmer Monday. So every Monday, I post a member of our team that's on our family, a picture of them, say, here they are, tell a little bit about them and what they do on the farm. And that's been huge. And um, so when we go out to the farmer's market or when we're out on deliveries or out in town, or even at the local Walmart, people recognize us and they're like, "Oh, you're with that farm. You guys grow Sally greens." They may not
Mhm.
remember the name, but they've seen the social media posts. So
Mhm.
that has really been helpful, and I think I'm going to be adding more to that.
Mhm.
I'm thinking about like a healthy tip Tuesday, going along with being a doctor and selling vegetables and um, kind of my mission.
Mhm.
Um, so I'm going to be adding more of those as time goes on.
Yeah.
And using the business suite for Facebook and Instagram to do and scheduling
The
those
schedule.
posts. Yeah. So I was going on there like, randomly and just like putting something on there, but now I'll try to go on Business Suite once a week and schedule everything for the next week. Or if I know I'm going to be really busy, I'll even schedule stuff for a couple of weeks in advance. And so
Yeah.
then it's just on
It's
autopilot
done. Yeah.
and I don't have to worry about it.
I
So,
love that. I've been doing that a lot this season too. And I can get the whole week done in 30 minutes. And then that's off my brain, right? Like I don't think about it
right.
anymore. And then I can still be in the moment. Like if something cool happens that week, I happen to snap a picture. I'm like, oh, I should share this. I do.
Yeah.
So it's like a bonus post, but I never feel this constant like, oh, don't you got to find a photo
Gotta
today to
post. I
post,
gotta
right?
find something to post. Yeah.
Yeah, which it just stays in your head and you can never let it go and you can't give something else your full attention because that's always swirling in the back, right? So yeah, I love the idea of scheduling, like a 5 posts a week or something just to get it off your brain.
And the other thing I'm doing with Business Suite is I'm just using the same post over and over, like
Yes,
every
repeating them.
4 to 5 weeks, because I don't know if I heard it on another podcast or maybe on your podcast, but like apparently people only see like one thousandth of the
Mhm.
post that you put up,
Yeah,
so they may not even see it. And even if they're seeing it again, you know,
repetition is good.
repetition is, gets draws them in.
Right,
So,
right.
n-
Are there any other big breakthroughs or like things you wish you could put in front of new farmers and say, hey, I wish I'd learned this earlier, or take it from me, learn this now.
um, well, the other things we do is we do flyers on Canva, and we have a QR code that goes to our online store. So that's been pretty helpful as we hand those out at the farmers market. We actually put a stack of those on our roadside stand that's unmanned, and
Mm.
have people take those and sign up for the CSA right there from the roadside stand.
Mm.
So I think having some kind of flyer, the same kind of thing on our business card, we always have a QR code that we try to funnel people into the store. So we have a QR code even on our business card that goes right to the online store. We do refrigerator magnets, again with a QR code that goes right to the online store.
Mhm.
So, if you're in your refrigerator and you see you're out of lettuce, or then, oh yeah, well, I'll just scan this and I'll order more.
I love that. Those are all really great tips. And I told you when we were getting ready to record, I said, we're going to find the nugget in this story. Like every farm has something that they're doing. And what I'm gleaning from this conversation is like, you have a really elegant funnel. I mean, your strategy is sound. You kind of have figured out over the years, like how to lure people in, right? How to make people aware that you exist. You sort of have these people helping you. Your own customers are kind of your voice now, but you have a few places that your traffic lives and you're doing those consistently, whether it's the flyer, whether it's social media, and you have a way of getting them on your list. You also know the best way to get them to buy for the first time. And you're not necessarily after the money on that first transaction. You just want them to spend something, right? And get on your
Right.
list. And then
Right.
you trust your community and your system you have more offers that you can put in front of them. And you trust that system to slowly work on them and build their habits, their buying habits until they graduate and become more and more of a buyer, right? Trusting that they require time to turn into that too. So
Right.
this is not complex. It's not a complicated funnel. It's very simple, but it's elegant. And you have just a few places that you have to push the flywheel and it keeps working. And it sounds like you still have like places to grow and become something. So that's kind of my last question is like, what are you most excited about next? Where do you see your business going? What do you want to work on next?
Um, well, I'm excited about seeing about doing some meat CSA shares and adding that on and what that's going to look like with what we're doing right now. And I'm also excited about seeing what we can do to meet the underserved community and the poor in our community, and how we can affect their lifestyle and for, to make an impact on their health by eating more fresh fruits and vegetables and more locally sourced ingredients.
Mm.
Uh, so I'm excited to see what we can do in that area.
I have zero doubt that you are going to figure that out too, especially because that is where your heart passion is as a doctor, right? Like you care about people's health and
Right.
um, our underserved communities are the ones that really where there's a huge opportunity to help them there. So I have a feeling you're going to carve the way, be a trailblazer. So maybe we'll come back in a few years and see how you've gotten there. You can share some of your wisdom with us. Thank you so much for this interview. I've really
You're
enjoyed
welcome.
meeting you.
Thanks for having me.
And I know you just got off of an overnight late shift, morning shift, early morning shift in the ER. So I'm grateful that you took this time with us. Where can people go to learn more about your farm if they want to see what you do?
So our website is blackberrypondfarm.com. And we have Facebook and Instagram, Blackberry Pond Farm on Facebook and Instagram. And our store is blackberrypondfarm.com/store. If you want to check out our local line store and see all the vendors and products we have there.
Thank you again for joining us. It was wonderful having you on the show. Well, I hope you enjoyed my interview with Sue. And every single time I do one of these, there's a little nugget of wisdom that comes out. I'm wondering, what was it for you today that really spoke to you? And how can you take action on what she shared? Today's show notes can be found at mydigitalfarmer.com/277. If you liked today's episode, please go leave me a rating or a review on Apple Podcasts. That helps more and more people find out about the show. If you want to get onto my email list to get better at your farm marketing, it's free. Just go to mydigitalfarmer.com/subscribe. You will not regret it. And don't forget, I'm also now on Instagram at mydigitalfarmer. I like to show up there a few times a week in stories for some more marketing tips. If you know somebody who would be a great guest on the show, I am actively recruiting people to come and be interviewed. So please reach out to me at mydigitalfarmers@gmail.com and we can see if we're a match. Hey, thanks for joining me this week, you guys. I believe in you. I'll talk to you next time.